Hey guys, it's Greg Jones for Engine Builder. We are at the 2023 PRI show, and today I'm joined by Jeremy Wagler of Wagler Competition Products. And this right here is a brand new Billet Duramax diesel engine, and it's our Diesel of the Week.
Engine Builder's Diesel of the Week is sponsored by AMSOIL, the first in synthetics.
Jeremy, thanks so much for giving us a little bit of time. It's always a pleasure catching up with you at the PRI show because you got cool things like this in the booth. And I understand this is kind of a brand new billet block and billet setup for you guys.
Yep, my guys got it ready just right before the show. We've been planning on doing it for years, but we started off building the big DX V8 Duramax, and it's out running in the pulling trucks. The drag racing didn't want it. They didn't want the big heavy engine, so we basically modeled this one right off of a Duramax, GM Duramax, to where all the factory heads, all the factory oil pan, rear covers, front covers, every component a factory engine can basically fit in. So it'll be a lightweight, mainly designing this for drag and drive events. So there'll be an oil-cooled sleeve and then drag racing. Racing. So
very cool. I've been saying for a couple of years now, as drag and drive's gotten bigger, that I feel like the more diesel guys should be in it because I think they'd be pretty competitive.
Oh yeah, yep.
So here's something that they could.
That's one of our first ones. We have 5 or 6 of them already sold to drag racers, but one of the first ones in basically testing will be oil cooled. So we'll be doing oil cooled sleeves. That way we can run it for many miles and put some testing on it and then release it into the drag and drive.
Very cool.
It's a fun. We own a drag strip, and I see the drag and drive. I think it's a good, fun way of getting into drag racing. Yeah,
absolutely. So, Jeremy, you mentioned the DX block that you guys have had out for a long time. Do you want to talk, a little more detail about some of the differences of this billet block?
So the DX, we made it like a mono block. So basically, it had a bed plate, a center section, and then 2 jugs, and then the cylinder heads had long 13-inch head studs, ARP head studs that go all the way through. So we took all them components and made them to where if you tear it up at the pulling track, you can replace a part at the track and go right back to pulling. But drag racers, they seen that was a little heavier, the excess material and everything. So this one, we just designed it just like a GM block. So GM block, just stronger, got the billet mains. So overall, it's a lot different, but it's still basically running the same center line to center line of the crank and the cam, the bore spacing, all that's the same. So, but good thing is a lot of guys are already racing a Duramax, but they have block failures. They crack cylinder walls and stuff because just the factor block can't hold it. But they'll be able to use all their components and put it right into this. Where our DX was a 1-inch taller deck. All the components was different, custom everything.
So you had to swap a lot of stuff.
Yeah, a lot of stuff.
So. Very cool. So talking about components, let's get into some of that in terms of an engine like this. What's inside?
Basically, we start off with normally a Windberg crankshaft. Comp does our cams. We make almost all the other stuff, Ross pistons usually, and then on the fuel side, we normally use like an S&S pump. Some customers want to use their own components they already have, but fuel systems, S&S and the Motec ECU usually on that part. And then as far as the additional rocker arms and all that, we use Manton for the push rods, PSI and PAC for spring kits. We have all different combinations. We do our own cylinder heads, so we build them from scratch. So it's a complete turnkey. A lot of guys think that it's outrageous on price, but to be honest with you, we can actually build you a billet engine like this for like the same as what a lot of guys spend on deck plating a Duramax and modifying a factory block to hold up to the power that a billet one can go past.
Absolutely. I mean, it might be pricey, but you're getting what you pay for, right?
Oh yeah, and it can be repaired. So it's got 8 sleeves in it. So if you melt a piston down, or if you have a issue with an injector or anything like that, you can actually go and replace that sleeve and go right back to the track. You don't have to go and start boring out the block and repairing a factory block. So a lot easier to be repaired and should last you for a long time.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so Jeremy, you mentioned that this is, it's not a pulling setup, it's really more for the drag race side of things. And obviously it's going to be based on fuel and turbos and
Oh, yeah.
different things in terms of the horsepower levels. But what can guys expect out of this platform?
On an average, most of our guys are somewhere like we have Johnny's car in the booth right now. His Cummins, he's over 3,000 horsepower. So over 3,000 horse, and it should run for pretty much a full season as long as you have all your components, like you said, tuning and nitrous and fuel system is the life of the engine. But as far as the overall part of it, the engine block is as solid as what any of the engines that we're putting through. Kusslik just made over 4,000 horsepower down at the diesels and dark corners. So
nice.
But a lot of horsepower.
Yeah. So again, there's definitely some differences between guys who are strictly drag racing and then the guys that want to do the drag and drive because they've got to be on the street for call it 1,000 miles.
Yeah, long periods of time.
What would that change in setup kind of look like?
The only main thing is the dry sump. The dry sump system will have a big oil cooler. So the oil cooler will be cooling the heads in the block. So where a drag racer is making one pass and then return to the pit, letting it cool down for half an hour to 40 minutes. This one will be oil cooled, so it'll just have to make sure, and that's why we want to test it first. We're going to put it in one of our race trucks and basically make it to where we know that the oil cooler is going to keep it for, like you said, 1,000 miles. They run a lot of miles, but I don't see why we can't run this as long or longer than them big alcohol and gas powered engines. So
awesome. Well, Jeremy, it sounds like we covered quite a bit here, but please let us know if there's anything that we missed or anything else about the new Billet Duramax that you want to let people know about.
Basically just want to thank all the guys at the shop. My guys at the shop are always busting their butt to get everything done, and then all the companies that support us. ARP's one of the biggest, on this one. ARP, Windberg, Comp Cams, Manton push rods. All those guys, we go to them with an idea, we send them prints, and they make us parts. So
well, absolutely, Jeremy. That's kind of part of the industry, all coming together and helping each other out. So again, always a pleasure speaking with you.
Thank you very much.
This is an awesome Billet Duramax. I'll be excited to see it.
We'll have it out this
there on the track.
All right, thank you.
All right, guys. Well, that's been this episode of Diesel of the Week. Thanks for tuning in. Make sure you're checking out everything that Jeremy's got going on at Wagler Competition Products. And as always, make sure you're checking out enginebuildermag.com for more great engine and diesel content. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.